One isolated rock, 3 experienced keepers, and a lighthouse that suddenly went dark. When investigators stepped onto the island of Eilean Mòr, they found an orderly room, a stopped clock, and a mystery that would defy explanation for over a century. What happened to the men who vanished? On the 26th of December, 1900, the relief steamer Hesperus pushed through the winter waters of the North Atlantic, heading toward the Outer Hebrides. Its destination was Eilean Mòr, one of the remote Flannel Isles, a place of cliffs, seabirds, and a lighthouse built to withstand the worst the ocean could conjure. On board was the relief keeper, Joseph Moore. He was meant to rotate in for one of the 3 men stationed on the island. But as the Hesperus approached, the crew noticed something wrong. There was no flag on the pole, no supply boxes waiting on the landing, no movement, no response to the ship's whistle, no answering signal from the tower. The island felt abandoned. Moore was rowed ashore alone. He climbed the steep, slick path toward the lighthouse compound. The outer gate was closed but not locked. The main door was shut, but also unlocked. Inside, the scene was strangely orderly. The clock on the wall had stopped. The fire in the hearth was cold. The lamps were cleaned and prepared for the night's watch. The beds were made. The kitchen was tidy. The stillness of the room gave a strong impression. A life interrupted. Thomas Marshall, James Duckett, William MacArthur. All 3 men were gone. When 3 experienced lighthouse keepers vanish from a stone tower built like a fortress, the first assumption is an accident, a rogue wave, a slip on the rocks, a winter gale. But the physical evidence didn't settle into a neat explanation. In the entrance, 2 of the 3 heavy oilskin coats were missing. The 3rd coat, belonging to William MacArthur, was still hanging on its peg. This meant one of the men had stepped outside into a freezing December storm without his protective gear. To the Northern Lighthouse Board, this wasn't impossible, but it was deeply unusual. MacArthur was known as a tough, disciplined mariner. Leaving the lighthouse without his coat suggested urgency, something sudden enough to override protocol. Down at the west landing, the damage was unmistakable. Iron railings were bent and twisted. A storage box had been shifted from its position. Ropes were frayed. Equipment was scattered. Something powerful had struck the island. Yet inside the lighthouse, nothing was disturbed. No signs of panic, no overturned furniture, no broken glass. The keepers had completed their duties, trimmed the lamps, and prepared for the night. Whatever happened, happened outside. The logbook of Eilean Mòr is often said to contain the most chilling clues of all. But here, the story splits into 2 paths, the documented record and the folklore that grew around it. The documented logbook, the real one, contains nothing unusual. The final entries on the 15th of December record routine weather observations, barometer readings, meal preparation, lighthouse maintenance, and the standard rotation of duties. No storms, no fear, no prayers, no emotional breakdowns, just the quiet, methodical handwriting of men doing their jobs. According to later retellings, Thomas Marshall wrote that the island was being battered by a storm worse than anything he had ever seen. That James Duckett was unusually quiet, that William MacArthur, known for his temper and toughness, was weeping, that all 3 men were praying, and the final entry, dated the 15th, supposedly read, "Storm ended, sea calm, God is over all." It's a powerful image. It's also almost certainly fiction. These dramatic entries first appeared in a newspaper decades after the disappearance. They do not appear in the official Northern Lighthouse Board records, but folklore has a way of attaching itself to empty spaces, and the Flannel Isles have plenty of empty spaces. One detail, however, is not folklore. When investigators checked the mainland meteorological records, they found something strange. On the 12th, 13th, and 14th of December, the days the folklore logbook claims the men were terrified by a monstrous storm. The weather was calm. No gales, no heavy seas, nothing out of the ordinary. The real storm didn't hit the Flannel Isles until the 16th. By then, the men were already gone. This discrepancy has fueled over a century of speculation. Did the men see a storm that wasn't there? Did they misread the sea? Or did something else drive them outside on the 15th? The official inquiry concluded that 2 men went down to secure equipment during rising seas, and the 3rd rushed out to help. A wave struck. All 3 were swept away. It's the simplest explanation, but simple explanations rarely satisfy the imagination. Over the years, the Flannel Isles have attracted theories like a lighthouse attracts moths. Some are grounded in maritime logic. Others drift into the realm of folklore and the uncanny. The giant wave theory. A sudden, powerful wave, known today as a freak wave, could have struck the landing. This is the explanation most historians accept, but it still fails to answer the ultimate question: why did one of them leave his coat behind? The psychological break theory. Isolation, storms, darkness. 3 men alone on a rock for weeks. Some speculate tensions rose, leading to a fatal confrontation. There is no evidence for this. The interior was all in order with no signs of chaos, but the idea persists. The folklore theories. These are the ones whispered, not written. The island is said to be haunted by ancient spirits of the Outer Hebrides. Some locals believed the Flannans were thin places, where the veil between worlds wears thin. Others claimed the men were taken by the sea itself, a living force demanding payment. And then there's the phantom storm theory, that the men saw something no one else did. More than a century later, the lighthouse still stands, automated now, silent, watching the same waves that witnessed the vanishing of the keepers. The official report closed the case with a practical explanation, but the unanswered details remain. The coat left behind, the orderly rooms, the damage on the cliffs, the vanished men, the storm that came too late, and the legends that grew in the gaps. The Flannel Isles mystery endures because there is no evidence, no witnesses, only questions, and it happened in a place where the sea erases footprints faster than truth can be written down. The sea keeps its secrets. What do you think happened?